tales of Master Chief resonate with gamers with an emphasis on masculine militarism and science fiction. It's the ultimate adventure for any nerd who loves to rush in first and ask questions later. However, Halo as a narrative did something interesting for many players as it went beyond the explosions and multiplayer modes to provide a character we believed in. The best moments of Halo Infinite draw upon that statement as we get everything we love about the series and way more.
Remember when you said new and dangerous? You were right.
Halo Infinite's campaign is a tragedy. The human race doesn't stand a chance, but Master Chief has been given the opportunity for at least one more shot to save it all. Unfortunately, the enemy race known as the Banish has seemingly won the war, which doesn't seem to sit too well with our armor-clad hero. There's a lot to spoil in explaining this story because its rollout is expertly paced to keep players forced to push forward. As Master Chief, you will learn to hate the Banish and the group of antagonists and Spartan hunters that stand in your way. Perhaps not in the beginning, but you do learn the full extent of the destruction these foes have caused, and you use that as your fuel to press on against all odds. Events are well paced, and character interactions become the sole reason for even caring about victory. Master Chief himself appears to have flaws, and that all comes to light in this new adventure, but this is a story of heroes, and at no point does the narrative forget that. Still, heroes fall sometimes, and that's something that players understand from the opening. Halo Infinite doesn't forget its roots. Even with its new open world design, each landmass features optional events and bases to claim for potential fast travel. However, everything is condensed here, and nothing feels out of reach. It keeps the action moving along, and the confusion about what to do next at a minimum. You're provided a grappling hook early on, which is the most significant addition of Chief's loadout. It allows you to not only scale large cliff sides, but after a while you can master it and use it just to swing around corners, peg enemies, and even dodge attacks. I use it as often as possible and thought it meshed well with the Halo universe. However, other abilities introduced aren't as functional. As you go through the game, you unlock placeable shields and even a dedicated dodge, but accessing them quickly was cumbersome. You need to use the D-pad to access a menu where another D-pad press is tied to an ability. Doing this in combat could result in a quick death, as it just takes too long. This meant that I typically just had the grappling hook equipped and got by okay. Still, it's possible to upgrade these abilities so you can just focus on whichever you use the most of. Expanding on the idea that this game doesn't forget its roots, throughout the adventure you'll come across linear dungeons dressed in a familiar way to the first entries of the series. It makes the entire experience somewhat nostalgic, but I admit that I wouldn't say I liked how some of the dungeons seem to repeat rooms more often than I'd like. Outside of this, you have waves of enemies at every turn. Electric abilities add an elemental touch to combat and a handful of new enemies to take down. The Spartan hunters are a fun bunch that show up and really test your skills to adapt in situations without much warning. The game can be challenging sometimes, but there's a very forgiving autosave system and difficulty options. I will say that it's a missed opportunity not to have co-op campaign available at launch. Like most, this was my preferred way to play through the series. Unfortunately, it caused me to experience most of the campaign alone without the commentary from a friend sitting next to me. Halo Infinite is a beautiful game. The environments have a sense of scale and verticality that make them fun to explore. Further, the random enemy camps and optional objectives aren't forgotten about, as every inch of the map seems to have some love poured into it. The character and enemy designs are great, and the entire experience feels like something only Halo can provide. The sound design of the weapons is also impressive, as each weapon, no matter what kind of kinetic gun or plasma rifle you have equipped, sounds great. The conversations between grunts are also as charming as ever. Further, special weapons can be obtained by taking down powerful enemies. These weapons can also be created while visiting any of your captured bases, so it's possible to carry around your favorite weapons at all times. Halo Infinite is science fiction storytelling at its best. The best thing about this entry is that it knows what it is. This is a story of a hero, and whether you self-identify with him or not, you're going to immerse yourself in his resolve. While upgrades and lack of co-op campaign limit some enjoyment, this is the game that Halo fans have been waiting for. It's a proud day for Master Chief, but mostly for developer 343 Industries for putting together such a memorable experience. Noisy Pixel is giving Halo Infinite a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.